Blessed with a green thumb and a whimsical spirit, I developed Panters. You get it? Panters, pants, plants, Panters. This was my COVID project because during lockdown, there were a lot of very distressed and upset people walking the Larkspur Trail. And I thought to myself, what could I possibly do to bring a smile to their faces, to distract them a little bit from what's happening during COVID? And so I developed Panters. And boy, did it work. Now, these Panters have been on my fence for 5 years. So the blue jeans were just finally totally falling apart. So I went to the thrift store this year and I bought replacement blue jeans. So I was putting on the replacement blue jeans and a woman came by and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, the blue jeans are really falling apart, so I'm replacing them." I said, "They're just got holes in them and they're just shredded." And she says, "Yeah, now's when my granddaughter would actually wear them." Probably truth in that. So what I like is the Panters still bring a smile to people's faces. I was out there watering yesterday morning, and a woman stopped me and said, "Every time I walk my dog past this corner, I am happy." And so while I was visiting and spending time with my mother for 2 weeks, Maggie is the one who watered and cared for all my Panters and my boots along the fence. Did anybody ever stop and say anything? Everybody stopped and said something. A smile to their faces. And of course, now that I have Chaplain, I put a window in my fence so that Chaplain can take a look out and see everybody that's going by. And then one day I thought to myself, that dog window looks like a space helmet. Yes. And so that's a new addition this year, is my little space suit under my little astronaut. And then I've added all these inspirational signs up and down my whole fence. This is how I care for my neighbors. I want you to keep this in mind. This is how I care for my neighbors. My green thumb and my whimsical spirit creating Panters to bring a smile to my neighbors' faces. You see, we have heard of the spiritual works of mercy, which are great. And the corporal works of mercy, you remember what they are? Feed the hungry, give water to the thirsty, clothe the naked. Those are all really good ways to care for our neighbors. And there are many of you who already are doing that, especially in supporting so many of the great ministries we have here, like the Ben Food Project and the Green Bags, and so many things. You're already doing that. But I've also recognized that some people aren't able to do that. And the sad reality is, do you know they feel guilty? Well, I'm not feeding my neighbor. I'm not clothing the naked. I'm not giving water to the thirsty. Well, we're not all called to do that. You see, the reality is there are as many gifts and talents out there as there are people in need of those gifts and talents. Think about it. How about somebody who sews and gives a quilt to someone who needs comfort, support, and encouragement? How about somebody who crochets and makes a prayer shawl that we put on a person as we pray for them? How about somebody who cooks? Like our Monday night dinners at the Order of St. Luke. I never miss them. It's David who's going to be cooking. David Tuhawks is cooking this Monday, so I'm definitely going to be there. Who cooks, who bakes, who whatever. Each and every one of you have been gifted with a talent that can help you care for your neighbor. That's what I love what Moses was talking about when he was explaining about living the command of love from the Lord. He said, this command that I enjoin on you today is something very near to you, already in your mouths and in your hearts. You only have to carry it out. It's not something that's far away that you have to strive for. It's already right there. God has placed his love in your hearts and in your lives. God has given you unique talents and abilities that God is inspiring you to utilize in caring for your neighbors. We heard that in today's Gospel of Luke chapter 10, verse 36 to 37. Which of these three, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim? He answered, the one who treated him with mercy. Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. Go and do likewise. Notice, the Samaritan had the gifts and talents to care for this man who was a victim to the robbers. First of all, he had oil on him to clean the wounds. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't walk around with oil all the time. He obviously was a man of means. I mean, he had an animal he could put the man on to bring him to an inn. He had the means to pay for this inn to care for him, and then he had the means to come back and pay whatever more was needed. He was gifted by God with what was necessary right at that moment and at that time. That's what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on those that skipped by him because I don't want to judge them. I just know that God brought into this man's life somebody who was gifted and prepared to help him. You know who that person is today? You. In your interaction with others? What are your gifts and talents? What are you good at? Are you good at acting? Are you good at playing the piano and singing? Are you good at just being Kathy? Are you good at just gifts and talents in some way? Because you see, I'm not the only one in Bend, Oregon, who puts a smile on people's faces using their gifts and talents. Many of you have probably seen this as you've driven around town. I know every time I go around this circle, it brings a smile to my face. How do you care for your neighbors? I don't know who does this, but I say a prayer of thanksgiving to God, because maybe that's just what I needed at that moment, was a smile on my face. Somebody caring enough for me, a stranger, by taking the time to do that. And so, how do you care for your neighbors? Each and every one of you is gifted to do that. And God is on the move through every one of you to care for our neighbors.